Hello YouTube, Superman 1983-7 here. It's been a while. I've been trying to make uploaded videos to my channel for quite some time, and I think I might be able to do it this time. Anyway, where have I been? What have I been doing? I've been reading the Quran. I've been told by most of the Muslim community that my take on Muslim culture and its religion is um, vague at best. Um, so I, you know, I got the Quran and I read the Quran, and I can understand why it is one of the greatest pieces of literature for the Arabic culture. It's it's fairly interesting, and I can understand why you know people believe in the Holy Bible, and the Quran's not too far off. You can believe in that as well. Now, before I read the Quran, I had to look up aspects of the Quran, to look into Arabic culture and Muslim faith, and get myself familiar with some terms, because the first time I started reading the Quran, I kind of got lost. There's different types of, it's a different type of reading. It's a good read. The one I have, I don't know if they're all the English translations are translated by Abdullah Yosef Ali, but you know, it's a good translation, hopefully. And this whole book's divided into 114 surahs. A lot of the surahs explain many things about the Muslim faith. And other than explaining the Muslim faith, it explains God's creation, creating the earth. It goes into detail on stars, and moons, and mountains, and rivers, and organic life, and how they live, and how birth, explanations of birth, and their best idea on how all this came together, which is fairly detailed in a fairly short amount of time. Now, um, before I read the book, I had to find out, okay, if the Prophet Muhammad did receive this message from God, how did he receive it? Why did he receive it? Why was he chosen? All that stuff. So, most of that stuff can be found on Wikipedia. And, one thing I didn't know of is that the Quran was revealed through the angel Gabriel. I'm pretty sure it's the Archangel Gabriel, but it doesn't really state either way. Um, anyway, the Quran, after Muhammad's death, the Quran was compiled into a single book. And it pretty much passed off to his successor, which now we have, the Holy Quran, the Holy Bible, for the Muslim faith. Now, what did I think of it? Other than it's pretty much reciting what he apparently heard or was told by either the Archangel Gabriel or the Angel Gabriel, whatever they call him. I'm not quite sure how they take Gabriel, but anyway, it's in the Abrahamic faith, and it kind of comes in between or after the Old and New Testament, and does it does a good job. It's not a bad read. It's not a bad read at all. But there's really nothing that I can put faith or would want to put faith in to believe in it. Other than Prophet Muhammad's look on the natural world, uh, how it's created and how it's designed, um, you know, it's a lot better explanation than sorry, got a cold. It's a much better explanation than the Bible provides. It's going past that. The rest of it's pretty much an occult guidelines book. The Bible, the cult leader providing guidelines and information on um, the God that the cult leader is speaking on behalf of. Now, if you don't follow these guidelines, um, horrible, horrible things happen. Just like in the Holy Bible, you go to hell, you burn. There's also punishments that other believers can put forth on people that were once of faith or who have failed their faith. Um, it's fairly brutal. It's a very, I find it very sexist. A lot of the scriptures within the Quran, women are very uh, low and low. They're probably the lowest form of species that, um, from what I gather from it, men are a lot higher and have a lot more power than women, and this is how it should always be. Um, but other than reading it, I can't see the message that everybody was telling me about. I can't see why this is superior to other religions. I can't see why this, above all, would be the master religion. Um, I know how it, you know, goes into uh, messages that Moses had already provided and David, um, but the message, if you sum up the message, besides love one another, love nature, um, love your husband, don't stray away from your husband. Uh, yeah, if you break up with your husband and you want to get back together, then a sacrifice has to be made. Uh, Guidelines that are strictly, if you're going to get back with someone, why do you have to kill another living organism, or animal or anything, uh, just to get back with your old life? Um, death and sacrifice and violence and fighting are, you know, they're everywhere in here. It's no better of a message than the Holy Bible. It's quite brutal. Um, there is a lot more um, love for nature and for man, but when it comes to man embracing nature after parts of nature, human beings, animals, wives, and children, anything, have went back on their faith. It's past decent. It's sadomasochistic. It's it's horrible. Um, but that's religion. I haven't heard of a religion, other than Buddhism, that's anything more than violent. They do have their loving points for certain aspects of the natural world, um, but past that, when it comes to dealing with your God and worshiping your God, um, violence seems to prevail overall. Um, Love seems to dim once, um, you know, once you go past your guidelines. Again, even on the front of the Quran, it says a guide and mercy. It's not a guide for mercy. It's just a guide that you must follow, and there's parts of mercy in it. Uh, there's mercy sometimes involves death. Uh, Death can, death can be kind of like your scapegoat to a better life or a better world, if you accept your fate. Um, but it doesn't do anything like what Muslims have been telling me it does. It's not as it's not as big of a deal as they make it out to be. It's actually quite horrendous, and I can understand why parts of the world, um, or the Abrahamic culture, that are Muslims and do follow the Quran, why they get so violent and why they think that these violent things and tendencies are natural and are expected of them. Uh, Death shouldn't be something that you use to death or torture or violence of any kind shouldn't be used to solve anything. Intellectual conversation will go much further. Um, Talking things out, coming to an agreement or an understanding. Um, Coming to an understanding or agreements through, you know, even through verbal retaliation from party to party would be a much better ground or course of action to take than harming someone. Again, I don't believe the Quran looks at it that way. Um, so no, Muslim community, I don't see the message. I don't see the superiority in your book. I don't see anything other than um, one of the oldest cults and oldest cult following to ever take place in the world. It's um, it's nothing like you explained to me. Does this make me feel better about your culture, your religion? No. Um, if anything, I blame this book for most of the problems that your culture is facing. And people that cannot see that, um, you're just far too sucked into this. It's the mercy that you it's the mercy that you're looking at. It's the mercy that you're dwelling on, not the guide. The guide provides everything else but mercy. Uh, so those are my thoughts on the Quran, and I'm not quite sure how you're going to take my thoughts on the Quran or how you interpret my thoughts on the Quran, but those are my thoughts on the Quran. I did take my time to read it, and it holds no grounds with me. Religion, again, I know will die, uh, because reason and free thought and basic knowledge is going to prevail on top. And every atheist in the world will back me up, and maybe even a couple religious people will back me up in saying that religion, if you look at it deep enough, and if you look at the people that are following the religion, is responsible for a whole hell of a lot, of the world's problems right now. And the message is not coming from your pastor, it's not coming from a minister, it's not coming from the Pope, it's coming from your interpretation of your Bible and how you think you should follow it. That's my take. If you have any feedback, again, you can comment. If you would like to like or dislike, right over here, subscribe up there. I am Superman 1983-7, and this is Atheism Linked to Truth.